Hello, I'm Jason from Procedureflow, and I'm excited to show you the new AI Process Designer feature in our platform. The AI Process Designer is a tool to help a mapper get started much more quickly when mapping a new process from scratch. It uses artificial intelligence to convert text that you input into a flow format. Here's what it looks like. First, we need to create a change request, and that will be the same process as what we do today. So I'm going to select Draft, click New Change Request, give the new change request a name, and click Start Change Request. Once I'm in the change request container, I'll click to the Flows tab and select the New Flow button on the left side. You'll notice I get two options. I can either create a new blank flow, which will just give me a blank canvas, or I can select the Generate Flow option. I'm going to click Generate Flow, which will bring us to the AI Process Designer. When the window opens, you'll notice there's a prompt screen to the left where it says Describe the process. This is where I can enter the details of the flow I'd like to build. It's here where you can paste text that you've copied from another document, or you can type it in directly. The AI Process Designer will try to convert any text into a flow format, but there are a few best practices to help you generate the most desirable results. The most common ways of going about this are capturing the knowledge by gathering the necessary steps from a subject matter expert, copying and pasting the steps from existing documentation, or you can create new processes by providing the tool some general parameters and allowing the AI to fill in the details. Let's try each of these methods out. For the first example, let's pretend I've just met with one of my colleagues who has helped to outline the steps in a process that we need to map, and we've recorded the conversation, then generated the transcript of that discussion. I can paste the conversation directly into the tool and click Generate. The AI Process Designer then takes the input and generates a flow in the pane on the right. At this point, our job is to review the flow that's been generated and decide if we want to keep it and work with it, edit the details of the process to help the AI generate a more suitable output, or just ask the AI to generate the flow again using the same input it used the first time. A few important things to note are, since the tool uses AI, it's entirely possible that even if you use the same input on the left, you will get a different flow output on the right if you try generating it more than once. The input text is not saved when you leave the Process Designer page, so if you don't have it saved elsewhere and you might need it later, be sure to copy it from here and paste it into a different document for storage. And perhaps most importantly, the purpose of the AI Process Designer is to help a mapper get started by placing the process content on the canvas. It provides the foundation of a flow to work from, but does not remove the need to review and edit the content once it's generated. The mapper and subject matter expert will still need to identify any gaps that might be missing from the flow, review and apply any mapping best practices or specific mapping styles that your organization may have in place, and review and validate the flows with testers before publishing. Let's say we like the way this flow looks as a starting point. I'll click Add Flow. Doing this adds the flow to my change request and adds a link to the new flow in the flow that I was at when I accessed the AI Process Designer. So in this case, since I was on the entry point's home flow when I clicked New Flow, it adds a link in an action shape on the home flow pointing to this new flow about resolving high bill inquiries. I can now simply click into it, then Edit Flow to access the editing canvas to continue working on it. In my second example, I'm going to copy an existing SOP directly into the AI Process Designer to produce a flow. So back in my change request, I'll click New Flow. I'll copy the text from my existing process document directly into the dialog box. One best practice when pasting from Word or PDFs is that it's best to format the text within the prompt window by removing any extra unnecessary text and using numbers instead of bullets to outline steps in a process. It should also be noted that you may receive an error if the content you are copying and pasting is too long. Be mindful of how much content you're adding to ensure flows aren't too cumbersome. As a best practice, try to limit the amount of content to approximately 10 main steps with around 3 sub-steps. If it's more than that, you may want to consider splitting your process into separate flows. Once I'm ready, I'll click Generate Flow. Now that the flow is generated, I'll look through it, and if I'm happy with this as a starting point, I'll once again click Add Flow. For my last example, I'm going to create a new process from scratch, asking the AI to help me with some of the details. I could simply type some of the parameters directly into the prompt, but to save time, I've prepared a few instructions for the AI to use with regards to a situation when a customer calls to dispute charges on their bill. I'll click Generate Flow to see what it comes up with. I can see that it's created a basic flow, but I'd like a few more details. This is where I can update the text in the dialog box, then ask the tool to generate the flow again using the updated input. So I've added a few high-level steps to help this time. Once it finishes generating the flow again, I'm able to check it out and I like what I see. Even though I know I'll have more updates, this is a good starting point. I'll click Add Flow to add it to my change request. After flows are created and added to a change request, the process of editing and publishing are the same as they are with any other change request. A recent enhancement to the AI Process Designer allows the user to choose between creative and strict mode. In creative mode, the AI Process Designer will function as it did originally, leveraging more AI capabilities by summarizing text and trying to determine whether some or all of the input text is really needed as part of the output flow. It may also determine that something is missing and may add additional steps or shapes that it perceives might be required. In strict mode, it will conserve most or all of the input text verbatim, and it will try to simply convert it to a flow format. So, depending on the type of documentation you are working with, or the kind of input text you provide the AI Process Designer, strict mode may be your preference. Some basic rules of thumb to keep in mind are: you will want to use creative mode if your input is unstructured or loosely defined, if you expect the text to be summarized in the flow, or if you are creating a new process from scratch and looking for the AI Process Designer to recommend steps from a basic description. Creative mode also works well in situations where structure matters more than exact wording. However, you will want to try strict mode if the input is structured, well defined, and concise, including clear steps and concise statements written exactly as you expect them to appear in the flow. You will also want to use strict mode if the process contains critical details that must be retained verbatim in the flow to avoid summarization. And finally, strict mode works well in compliance sensitive workflows when it matters that the exact wording of the input must match the flow output. Keep in mind that in strict mode, your flow may look very wordy, so there may be additional editing required before publishing. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoy using the new AI Process Designer.